My son got into a fight at McDonald's when he was 3 years old. You won't believe what he said to me after. Hi everyone, I'm the old man kicking. About 10 years ago, I was looking for something to do with my kids on a gray, cloudy day in March. It was cold outside, my wife was out of town, I was out of ideas, so I decided to take my kids to McDonald's for lunch. I picked McDonald's because it had an indoor play area, and I figured my kids could get some wiggles out. The play area really was just a big square metal structure that kids could climb on and then go down a slide. My son and my daughter were playing, and I was watching them from the side. At one point, my 3-year-old son slid down the slide. The bottom was blocked by a kid who was about 6 years old. My son was tiny. I think at the time he was in the 7th or 8th percentile for height and weight. So he's not only a little kid because he was 3 years old, he was a very small 3-year-old. The kid at the bottom was a monster. He must have weighed at least 3 times what my son weighed. When my son got to the bottom of the slide, he tried to squeeze by the 6-year-old monster. The 6-year-old monster turned and pushed my son to the ground. My son stood up, looked at the monster, and said in a surprisingly deep voice, "No!" My son tried to get by the monster again. The monster again pushed my son. My son, who was a tiny little dude, with no fear or hesitation, then stepped forward and drilled the monster in the chest with a perfect reverse punch. At this point, parents activated. I grabbed my son, the monster's parents grabbed him, and I got my kids out of there because you can't stay at McDonald's after you start a brawl in the play area. So we're driving home, and I look in the backseat at my tiny son in his car seat, and I said, "Hey, buddy, we can't be hitting people." My son looked back at me and said, "Daddy, I did not hit him." I looked at my son and said, "Dude, I saw you hit him. I'm just telling you we can't be hitting people." He looked back at me and repeated, "Daddy, I did not hit him." So now I was getting upset. I said, "Dude, I saw you hit him, and now you're lying to me." He looked me dead in the eyes, and with more conviction than I can imagine possible for a 3-year-old little boy, said to me, "Daddy, I did not hit him. I hit him back." I was stunned. My 3-year-old son understood the difference between starting a fight and defending himself. And in retrospect, I think he did it right. He did not start the conflict. He verbally asserted himself and tried to evade after the first physical challenge. And when the monster pushed him the second time, that's when he engaged physically. I think this is what martial arts teach us to do. We don't start conflicts. We try to avoid escalating conflicts. We try to escape. But when we can't, we defend ourselves fiercely. I am proud my son learned that lesson. When I told my wife the story later, she asked, "And where did he learn to throw that punch?" I told her she was focusing on the wrong part of the story. Let me know your thoughts on my son's fight in the comments, and also let me know what you think about hitting back. Also, let me know if you have any questions, and let me know what other videos you'd like me to make. Make sure to hit subscribe, kick that like button, check out my other videos, and keep kicking.